So the Olympics started Friday. How many of you are watching the Olympics? Yeah, a few of you are, right? They're always wonderful. So you know they started Friday in Japan. Some interesting facts about the Olympics are they have been occurring in some form for thousands of years. They date all the way back to 776 before Christ. They were competitions and they were originally held every 4 years to honor the Greek god Zeus. I personally think they have survived all these thousands of years because they strike a chord in us somehow. That part of us knows that we all have that same whatever that it takes for those people to compete and to win and excel, that we all have that in us. And I think that's why it's survived all these many years. We can see when we watch it what's possible. And we can see records breaking and all those amazing things. Another interesting factor too is that the 5 circles, the 5 different colored circles of the interlocking rings stand for global unity. That's what they represent. And they represent the continents of Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, and North and South America. And of course, we know these Olympians train for years, even decades. They compete in these tournaments, which occur now, rotating every 2 years, winter and summer. The saying that you hear so often that regards the games is go for the gold. And in fact, that phrase, go for the gold, has come to mean striving for greatness no matter what we're doing. When we're striving for any kind of greatness, we're going for the gold. And you know, it doesn't matter whether these Olympians take home a medal or not. They're the most determined, the most committed, the most inspirational, and their commitment is to excellence. That's always something that we appreciate when we watch the Olympics. But what I want to make the point about this morning, and the Olympics just brought it out for me, is that each one of those athletes, those competitors, use the God-given traits and strengths that we all possess. It's in every one of us. They have discipline, they have ambition, they have self-belief, and they have passion. Those traits are God-given in every one of us, and they are all our potential. That same blueprint of excellence and inspiration and desire that is in every one of you is in every one of us as potential. Do you ever stop to think about that? They're not so different from you and me. They just chose a different path. But what we see in them is in every one of us, and we want to always remember that. We all have desires to reach our own goals and to make our own dreams come true. So when we look at them during these events, you ever think about saying, how do they do that? How do they do that? What is their potential that they develop? Well, it's the same potential we all possess. as I was reading up on these amazing athletes and the Olympics coming up, I ran across some quotes that were from these athletes. These were all the gold medal winners. And these quotes from these athletes give us an insight into the formula that makes them the best in the world. But it also gives us an insight that the very same principles that we teach at Unity that are in every one of us, they just remind us that those principles are in us as well. So what is a principle? Some of the synonyms for the word principle are code. There's a code in each one of us. There's a belief in each one of us. There is a source, an inner source. We call it God. We don't know what else to call it. But there is a source that sources us, just as it sources those athletes. Those are all synonyms for the word principle. It can be also cause or form. It's in all of us. We're using it every day to some extent. Maybe we don't realize it, but we are. So I guess what I'm saying to you this morning is that these excellent athletes don't really have anything within them that you and I don't have within us. You ever think about that? We've got all the same potential. We may not be using it, and we may not be using it the way they are. But that same potential is in every human being. It is born within us. And how we use that potential is what's important. You've heard me say this about quantum physics and the quantum field. That's how we co-create with whatever created us, is our connection to that quantum field. How do we connect and purposefully create through the quantum field? Because we're doing it all the time, good or bad. So how do we do it in a way that we want to excel in whatever our dreams and desires are? So here's how we humans co-create with that quantum field. With our thoughts, our beliefs, our words, and our actions. All of your thoughts, your beliefs, your words, and your actions are energy. All you are is energy. And everything that emotes and emits from you is energy. And that energy goes out into that energy field called quantum physics and magnetizes back. So the quantum field is a magnetic field, and our energy magnetizes to that field with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our words, and with our actions. Now, quantum field doesn't pick and choose and only react to your good ideas and actions. It reacts to all of your thoughts and energy. So we have to be very aware that we are constantly creating our own destiny and our future, good or bad, with this energy field that comes from us and magnetizes out to the quantum field. That's why you hear us in Unity say we're co-creators. There's not a guy in the sky that we call God that's doing it to us. We are co-creating with that which created us at all times. when we can really grasp that, when we can really get that we are the power is in us, and when we learn how to harness that power and use it, then the sky's the limit. There's no limit. So there's a quote from Michael Phelps. You all know who Michael Phelps is. He was a gold medalist for, I don't know, how many years now? 30 something? This is a quote from him. Nothing is impossible. With so many people saying it couldn't be done, all it takes is imagination. Do you remember when he went through his tough times and everybody thought he was washed up and he'd never, that in fact he actually even dropped out, and then he realized that was not the right thing to do. His thing is, all it takes is imagination. And he tells the story. He said he allowed his imagination to go wild every day, imagining his winning of the gold. This was after his difficult times. In spite of the fact that others were saying he was washed up and would never win again, he did have lots of issues that could have kept him from winning again and thinking that might be true. He might have succumbed to that he couldn't bounce back, because he was getting a lot of negative feedback from the public. But he realized imagination has no boundaries. If you can learn how to use your imagination, the sky is the limit, because there are no limits. And I think, again, the Olympians kind of remind us of that. There are no limits. They break rules, not rules, but they break records every year. Imagination, again, comes from that part of us that is our thoughts, our belief system, our thinking, the words that we speak. All of those things can be harnessed, and we can learn how to use that part of us that we use every day, kind of unconsciously sometimes, to harness the powers that are in us. And to remember that when we can imagine, we have no boundaries. There's no limits. The universe does not limit you. You can have whatever you want if you can imagine it and you know how to harness it and speak it into existence. It's kind of sad though. I was thinking about it when I was writing this, and how many of you were discouraged when you were growing up to use your imagination? You were called a daydreamer, remember all that? It was a bad thing to sit and daydream and look out the window. In the mind of our teachers and perhaps even our parents. We didn't have much encouragement for honing and using our imagination. Our teachers and our parents wanted us on task. Remember that? We had to be doing something. We had to be, doing what they call the important things, the things that would put bread on the table or get us into college or whatever they thought was best for us. And so for many of us, our imagination was not encouraged nor rewarded because it didn't appear at the time to be productive. Of course, we all know that's wrong, because the world that we enjoy today and all its many inventions came from somebody's sitting around using their imagination and their creative thinking to create all the wonderful things that we enjoy today that we call inventions. And here's something we have not been told nearly enough, and you've heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it again. because it's really important for you to know. Everything is created twice. Everything is created twice. First in thought, and then in manifestation. So the chair you're sitting in, the clothes you're wearing, the shoes you're wearing, the house you live in, was a thought before it was manifest. So we want to stand guard at the portal of our minds and make sure our thoughts are what we want to manifest in our lives. Michael Phelps said when he was using his imagination that what he did was every day, all day long, he would visualize his hand reaching out and touching that side of that pool ahead of everybody else. That was his visualization. And of course, you remember what happened when he did get back in the Olympics after they said he wouldn't. I think he won like 6 medals that year. I mean, he was amazing. Very good example of how powerful our thoughts manifest using just our imagination. There are a couple of stories, and some of you have probably read them along the way. One was the story of a man who was in prison for 5 years in Vietnam. And he was a golfer. He was a golf pro before he went into service. I don't know if he was a pro. I'm not quite sure about that. But he played golf, and he loved golf. And so for the 5 years that he was in that prison cell, the way he would pass the time would be to play 18 holes of golf in his mind. And he could see the course and everything. And he did this every day. And it was how he got through, it was how he could shut out all the other stuff and get through it. When he came home after 5 years, the first time he went out on the golf course, he played the best game he'd ever played before he left. All done by his imagination for the 5 years he was in prison. You would imagine that perfect golf game. It's amazing. You also, I'm sure, read the story of the basketball. There was an experiment that was done with 3 different basketball groups. One basketball team was told to practice every day. Practice every day. One team was told not to practice at all. Just play how they knew how to play, and if they wanted to practice, fine. If they didn't, fine. And the third team was told, practice every day in your mind. Don't go to the court, don't play ball. Practice it in your imagination. Guess which team won? The ones who practiced in their imagination. It's your power. It's your power. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, wrote a book, and it's a major teaching of Unity, and the book is titled The 12 Powers. In the book, he shows us that one of our powers is imagination. Imagination is vital to our ability to create what we long for. Whatever you long for, whatever you desire, that perhaps you've never even had because you never thought it possible, just know it is possible. It is possible. And you start out, remember, everything's created twice. You start out imagining what it is that you want. I was teaching this in Houston several years ago in a class, and Wen, you might have been in one of those classes, I don't know. Wen comes from Houston, and she was in some of my classes. But I was in a class and I was teaching this, and I was telling people whatever you wanted, you could have. And that all you had to do was think it. And so I had a couple of questions. a couple of men asked the question. He said, well, what I really want to be, what I've always wanted to be, is a pro baseball player. He said, but I'm 50 now. I mean, I know I can't do that now. So what are you telling me how I can have what I want? And I said to him, so, okay, maybe you're too old to play the game. What else do you love about the game? What could you do now at this age? Just think about it. And he thought for a minute. He said, I love statistics. He said, I can tell you the statistics of every player and whatever. I don't even understand it. But anyway, that's what he said. And I said, so why don't you become a statistician for a baseball team? Or a newspaper? Or write a book? And he did that. He actually got a job with a baseball team and became the statistician that helped them through. The other fella who was arguing with me that night, it sounds good, but I'm too old. I've always wanted to be a sound tech, a video tech, but I couldn't go to school, and I can't imagine doing it now. And I said, why not? Start out as a volunteer. When you're a volunteer for something, whoever's teaching you is going to teach you what you didn't know before. And I said, go see the sound tech at our church. Gave him the name. He started to volunteer at our church. And he became a sound tech volunteer for our church for about a year. And I would see him in my classes. Sometimes he would do my sound and video stuff. And I always loved seeing him there doing it. And he was loving it. A year later, our staff put him on staff in a paid job. It's limitless, folks. All you have to do is choose it, focus on it, imagine it, and move your feet. You do have to move your feet. But I'm going to say this several times during this talk so you kind of get it. The universe will manifest whatever your thoughts are, good or bad, whatever your beliefs are, good or bad, whatever actions that you take, and whatever words that you speak. That's the energy that you put out that meets the quantum field. And the quantum field, created of waves and particles, manifested into beingness. So what I want you to do is develop a knowing. Develop a knowing that this is who you are, and this is the creative gift that we've all been given. Know that you can imagine the success that you want in the world, no matter what it is. And know that when you put that piece of you into action, that energy that is your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, when you put all that into action, it will manifest. I promise. It may not come like you thought it would, but it will. Now, the universe doesn't just give you the good, it'll give you whatever it is you're thinking. So you want to stand guard at the portal of your mind so that you're thinking the good things, and that the things that you are manifesting are what you want. So, what are your beliefs? Think about your beliefs. Are your beliefs holding you back? Do you believe you're too old? Do you believe you're not smart enough? Do you believe you're not educated enough? Do you come from a belief that there's not enough? By the way, none of that's true. That might be one of your beliefs, but none of that's true. That does not hold us back. But we have to remember that our beliefs create our reality. But you also have to remember you can change your beliefs. You have to notice them. You have to see where they might not be serving you. we do something in Unity called denials and affirmations. When I see myself thinking up an old belief that I know is not true, I immediately say to myself, that thought no longer serves me. Some of our old beliefs may have served us. They don't anymore, because now we know better. Now we know that the universe will give us anything and everything that we can imagine and create. I know that we've all experienced this. We've all had somebody at some time or other telling us that we can't do something. Most of the time when people tell us we can't do something, they're trying to keep us from disappointment. They love us and they don't want us to be disappointed because they don't think we can do it. And those are the same people that don't understand quantum physics and the quantum field and the unlimited potential that we all have. One of the other quotes when I was working on this talk comes from a woman named Jessica Ennis. She's from Great Britain. She is a gold medalist for track and field, and this was her quote. She said, "The only one who can tell you that you can't win is you, and you don't have to listen." So that's about our belief system. Along with your thoughts, you have to examine and be aware of your belief system. But you don't have to listen. You can change it. Another quote was from Magic Johnson, and we all know who Magic Johnson is. He was a gold medal winner for many years too. And he said this, "I grew up poor, but I didn't have poor dreams." And I love that because as a child, he didn't let his childhood experiences and circumstances interfere with his dreams to become a basketball star. He dreamed big, but he didn't let his poverty limit his beliefs. Can you see him as a little kid going out and asking if he could play basketball with the other guys that did have a basketball? Because by the time he was old enough to play basketball, he'd learned how somewhere. So he had that in him. Michael Jordan was another quote, and he said this, and we know he was a gold medalist and amazing man. He said, "Limits, like fears, are often just an illusion." He's right about that. Fear is most often an idea that we made up in our own mind that has no real basis in truth. Most of our fears are baseless. They never come to pass. But they can hold us back and keep us from taking action. And a big part of the formula for our success in our co-creation with the quantum field is we have to take action. See, fear freezes you from taking action because you're already afraid it won't work. And so we want to let the fear go and know it's just an illusion, because when we can imagine and when we can put our positive thoughts into that quantum field, success is going to happen. Action is part of it though. We do have to take action steps. We can't be frozen in fear. So whatever it is that you want, think about what you want and take some action steps. One of the ones that I like to tell people about is, if you like to travel and you don't have the money to travel, start to imagine it. Start to be thinking about it and positive about it. Dream where you'd like to go. What is the place that you would love to go that you have never been? And then as we teach you in Unity, act as if We have to take action steps, acting as if. For instance, I may not have the money yet, but I act as if I do. I research the trip. I look and see, when is the best season? When is the off season? When are the lower rates? When is the best weather? I act as though I'm doing this. My imagination is starting to take hold. If I take this trip, don't say if, when I take this trip, where will I stay? You act as if you're going. Go to a travel agent. Get a big poster. Let's say you want to go to Greece. That's your dream. I want to go to Greece. Go get a poster from the travel agent. Put it in your house somewhere where you look at it every day. Act as if. And I can tell you, you all have met Ken Porter, who comes down here every once in a while. Ken Porter is a gentleman from Houston, and he came up one Sunday and he told about, he always wanted to go to Europe, but he never had the money. He couldn't believe he could do it. And he started taking these classes from me in Houston. And he ended up not only going to Europe, but he got to see 3 other countries that he hadn't realized he would see because of when he started to finally decide he could make the trip, the way that the airlines were taking him over there gave him an opportunity to see 3 countries instead of 1. But he began to use these principles, just like these Olympians use these principles. And it is miraculous, but it is how we were created. Wayne Dyer wrote a book. He's no longer with us, but he wrote a book a long time ago. The title of the book is Believing is Seeing. Believing is seeing. Because once you truly believe something can happen, it will manifest and take form, and you will see it. I just want to say this one more time. The universe has no limits. It holds back nothing. It responds to your energy and the energy you put out. I keep thinking of that young Magic Johnson who didn't even have a basketball, but he figured out a way. Each one of these Olympic winners that you see as you watch the games this week, remember they all discovered the way to win in life. By their thinking, by their believing, by their speaking positively, and by taking action. And remember, each one of these didn't come easy. When they were at their worst, they still imagined and believed and overcame. Your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, your action. This is the energy that you are. Make sure it's positive. That is what we call in Unity the creative process. Never let your dreams go. Never think they're too big. Never think you can't have them. Never think you can't have whatever you want. The universe is limitless. It doesn't limit anybody. We limit ourselves. In Unity, one of the things we always say is, life was meant to be good. We have a friendly universe. It works in our favor. It's biased in our favor. Everything in this universe will heal itself. You can cut mold off a tree, and the next day it'll be back. It'll grow back. We can heal our bodies. We can mend our bones. This universe is friendly, and it works in our favor. The thing is, we have to be in tandem with it. We have to be, if you want to stay healthy, you've got to do your part too. We have to take the action steps too. But never forget, this is a friendly universe. You just have to learn how to be in tandem with it. Don't limit yourselves with erroneous beliefs, with old thoughts that come from maybe when you were a child. Pay attention. Stand at the portal of your mind and notice when the negative thoughts don't serve you, and switch them around at that moment. What you think, how you imagine, what you believe, the action steps you take, and the words you speak can bring you whatever it is you want. It's how we were created. I may even talk more about this next week. This could be probably a 5-week a 5-week class, but I just want to remind you of the power that we have. That power is in every one of us. There is nothing out here that can take away your power unless you let it, because your power comes from within. And it's limitless, and it's how you were created, and it's who you were created to be. So whatever it is that you've been thinking you'd like to have, but you thought maybe you couldn't have it, let it go. It's not the truth. I would teach this, and people would come up to me and say, you know, I'd always wanted to take a cruise, and I could never afford it. And I had a friend who called me out of the blue and said, I have an extra ticket to a cruise, and you can go for free if you want it. She didn't even have to pay for it. She just had to visualize it. It happens all the time. So remember the power that you have. Remember the co-creator that you are. Remember it's all inside of you. And all you have to do is pay attention to what you're thinking and believing, and move your feet. Take action. God bless. So let's move into a time now of meditation, a time of reflection on what we've talked about today, and see where it may be resonating and with you and relevant for you. So just move into a place of being comfortable. You might want to lay things aside. Just be comfortable so nothing distracts you. Just allow yourself to breathe in a few times and just allow yourself to be fully present to your own thinking, to your own thoughts, to the energy in the room. Just be fully present. Take a few more breaths. You might feel your breath. It allows you to gather in your thoughts. Just feel that breath as it moves through your body. Think about the words that I have spoken today. Think about the places that you may have thought something was not possible. Whatever it might be for you. And when you've thought of that thing, just remember that thought is not the truth. Whatever it is that you desire will be yours when you believe it, when you can imagine it, when you can speak it, when you can take action even before you see it manifest. Whatever that might be, just think of it for a moment. remember that imagination is a God-given gift. And that everything is created twice. First in our imagination, and our thoughts and our beliefs, and then in our reality. Remind yourself that possibilities are endless. They're not going to come the way you think they would. Let go of thinking how. Just know. Just know that when you co-create, miracles do happen. Whatever old thoughts that we have had about our limits, we let them go today. Just to yourself right now, just say, I let go. I let go of all beliefs and any limitations. I live in a friendly universe. The universe I live in works in my favor, wants the best for me. I let go of any old thoughts that no longer serve me, any old misbeliefs that no longer serve me. And I feel the excitement of the possibilities of all of the dreams that I've been afraid to dream. That I now know are possible. And that I am the only one who can limit myself. And so whatever that dream is that I've laid aside, pick it up, brush it off, and look at it again. And I know. I can do this. I will do this. We remind ourselves that the word desire, the origin of that word meant of the Father. The Latin word of the Father, desire. My desires are in me to be brought into manifestation. Those desires were given to me by that which created me and wants me to have a good, a happy life, productive life, whatever. So I dream and I think and I imagine. And I have positive beliefs and positive thoughts as I move into this desire that I've laid aside. And I give thanks. I give thanks that this is who I'm created to be. I give thanks for that which is on its way to me now. And I make a commitment to think and believe and act and speak in positive ways for my positive good. And so it is.